You know what I love about Halloween? Dr. Morcassius asked as soon as we left Conservatory Central Park Drive Station. What? I asked. It's the one day of the year we can dress in our cloaks and no one will think we are freaks because they think it is just part of the costume and they don't know that when we dress this way every day of our lives. We both then laughed. Yeah, I said, trying to calm the laughs away. The Chicago skyline at this hour looked very beautiful in a haunting way under the darkening blue sky as we were riding into it, which made absolute sense because it was all Halloween. It was also fun watching the lights turn on the streets below us when we were in the Chicago loop, but not quite to Adams and Wabash. After we arrived at Adams and Wabash, we walked straight to our building and we went straight to Robbinsog. When we entered, our mom was in the kitchen making dinner. What's cooking, Mom? Dr. Morcassius asked as soon as we entered Robbinsog. Just a fruit salad to cancel out the sugar rush tonight. Your father just left with your other brother to go trick-or-treating, Mom said. Where did they go? Sam asked. They just went around trick-or-treating in this building. Do you want to go? Mom asked. Mom answered. I do, I said. I don't. I just wanted to get home and was upset, about us having to come here late because I like making the world a better place. And in my eyes, I get to do that if I get to pass out candy on Halloween because it makes children happy, Dr. Morcassius said. I thought you wanted to go trick-or-treating tonight to get Milky Ways, I reminded him. Oh, I knew we were going to get a lot of those. You and George both knew I'm going to tax you on them, Dr. Morcassius said with a smile. Yep, I probably should have known that, I said. Here you go, said my mother, giving me a bag to get candy in. Have fun. I will, Mom. Bye, Dr. Morcassius. Bye, Mom. I said as I was walking out the door. Bye, Sam. My mom and brother said back. Remember, I am taxing your Hershey Kisses, said Mom. I then left the room and went up and down every hallway on every floor of our building, and then I returned 1 hour later with a full bag. The fun thing about us trick-or-treating is that we get to trick-or-treat in our everyday clothes. When I get back, I saw our dad was back and Marcus had Hannah over, and they were just talking about things, but they looked more in love than ever. Hi, Dad. Hi, Hannah, I said as I was entering Robbinsog. Hey, Sam, said Hannah back. How was school today? Dad asked. Fine. I am still trying to hide what I learned what I asked about in anatomy class. Where is George? In your room, Dad answered. I then went to my room and then kicked the door open as hard as I could. Boo! I yelled when I entered. Ah! Yelled George when I entered. That is what you get for not coming to that meeting we had planned for today at the secret spot. I know that you never had a discussion with Dr. Morcassius about getting holidays off of meetings. I said as I was shutting the door and beginning to change over into my royalty clothes, because we had a guest over, which makes me wonder why I didn't change into those. I'm sorry, said George. Is it his expectations that you go tomorrow? I was going to, I just didn't want to do it today because it was Halloween. Well, with what we are trying to get done here, meetings are only called for emergencies. If you call 911 for an emergency, do you seriously think they wait until the next day to respond? No, you're right. Make sure you go to Conservatory Central Park Drive off the Green Line tomorrow after school. Will you be there? I don't think so, because I talked about what there was to talk about with Dr. Morcassius already, and even though I was the one who called the meeting, he said he wanted to have it again alone with you, and he will explain everything to you. I finally put my bag of candy down, and I was about to leave, but George wanted to talk to me some more. Why is this such a big deal? Because while I do understand your 911 analogy, 911 was never called, George asked. Goodbye, George, I answered. I then left the room, and George did not follow me. Here is your dinner tonight, Sam, said my mom. What is this salad again? I asked. I said it was food tonight, but to be specific, it is really a strawberry with walnut and feta salad, my mom answered, with spinach. And it was kick-ass too, just like all the other salads your mother makes, said my dad with love in his voice. Thanks, Marvin, said my mom. Anytime, Valley, anytime, said my dad back. Valley? Hannah asked. You know my mother's name is Valerie. He just calls her Valley sometimes as a nickname, Dr. Morcassius explained to my possible future sister-in-law. It is beautiful of how because of how beautiful your mother and Valley's are, said my dad. We then all laughed in the room. The odd thing is, despite me thinking valleys are beautiful, we have always been downtown kind of people, said my dad. Just then, George came out of his room and to the restroom by the kitchen, and he went to the restroom with something in his hands. George, you are not dressed appropriately. We have company over. You know better, said our mom. Side note, she said nothing to me earlier because she knew I needed too little time to register the fact Hannah was over, and I needed to change into my royalty clothes, but I was cloaked, so it was okay, because George was uncloaked. George said nothing, he just shut the door to his room when he came back. I better go talk to him, because George usually apologizes and know the consequences coming, said my mom. She is always right. He just may call back, and the word sorry may not be how he apologizes, I thought to myself. Just then I began to hear yelling from my room. God damn it, George! We've discussed with you about where you can drink in Robbinsog. I heard my mom yell. We knew that George said something back, but for sure, I couldn't hear what it was, despite the fact that no one was talking in the room that I was in right now. You get no more candy tonight, I heard my mom say to George. My mom then walked out of the room with George's bag of candy and hid George's bag in the cabinet at the top of the kitchen. After that, the conversation restored. Hey, Sam, can I ask you a question? Hannah asked. Yes. Can I have some of your Twizzlers? I love Twizzlers like how your brother loves Milky Ways. Hold on, let me get them for you. I hate Twizzlers. You can honestly have them all. I then went to my room and got my candy bag. It wasn't until then I realized how bad a stain George put on our carpet. George, I could tell, thought it was a little bit funny. George, can you tell me how that stain got on our carpet? I asked. Yes, I got fruit punch from some lady as a trick-or-treat tonight, and when I tried inserting the straw, I missed because you outside the living room burst out laughing loudly, and I was trying to stick the straw in. I missed and poked it too fast because the punch exploded, and red fruit punch exploded, and trying to clean it up with soap made it worse, George explained. Okay, I said. I took a closer look as I was about to leave to give Hannah my Twizzlers. That stain reminds me of something, I said, looking at it. What is it? George asked. I don't know. What don't you know? Because I am feeling something called deja vu, which is something that seems familiar to me, but I don't know what it is. Oh, I see. I then went out to give Hannah her Twizzlers. Here you go, Hannah. I said to Hannah. Wow, 7 strings. Thanks, Hannah said back. You are welcome. I hate Twizzlers. My brothers are fine with them, but I hate them, I said to Hannah. That is why I recommend that she tax you, said Dr. Morcassius. I then let out a grin. Good night, everyone. I have no homework, and I feel like I need to go to my room tonight, I said. Good night, everyone said back. I then entered my room and shut the door. What do you need to come here for? What do you need to come here for the night? George asked. I need to turn this deja vu into a memory, I answered. I then laid on my bed and began to think about for a few minutes. I am nowhere. Then and for a few minutes I'm nowhere. Then George out of nowhere interrupts my thoughts. What can help you turn this D-word whatever thing into a memory faster? George asked. You shutting up and not stalling me like that? I said a lot ruder than I wanted to. Just then Dr. Morcassius came in the room. Hannah's now on her way to Howard Station, on her way back up to her Howard Station on the Red Line northbound, said Dr. Morcassius as he was shutting the door. There was a pause, and I wasn't looking at Dr. Morcassius, but then he began talking again. Wow, that's some stain you put on the carpet. Just then, I felt something click inside me. Carpet? I thought something about Valerie really began to get me thinking. Are you okay, Sam? Dr. Morcassius asked. Guys, we're going to do something tomorrow. A little bit odd, I said. What is it? George asked. You mean tomorrow's gonna be like every other day of our lives? Dr. Morcassius asked. George, to answer your question, we are going to look for another stain on the floor somewhere in Robbinsog, just like this one. Dr. Morcassius, to answer your question, yes, you can have that talk with George first, but we must do this when our parents are done, I answered to both. Why? Dr. Morcassius asked. Because I haven't had deja vu this severe in a while, and when I get this severe, I want to do whatever I can to figure it out.